The old train station stood shrouded in a blanket of cold, damp air. Each gust of wind seemed to whisper through the skeletal framework of the station, creating a symphony of eerie sounds. Evelyn shivered, pulling her coat tighter around herself. Her breath hung in the air, a fleeting testament to the biting chill of the night. Evelyn glanced at her watch, the luminous hands glowing faintly in the dim light. The last train to the city was late. She shifted her weight from one foot to the other, the concrete platform offering little comfort. The station was eerily deserted save for the lone figure of Evelyn and the shadows that danced around her, cast by the flickering gaslights. Evelyn sighed, a plume of white escaping her lips. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the distant howling of dogs and the occasional creak of the aging station structure. The anticipation of the train's arrival hung heavy in the air, a tangible entity in the stillness of the night. Waiting for someone? A raspy voice shattered the silence. Evelyn turned, startled, to see an elderly man standing uncomfortably close. He was bundled in a heavy overcoat, a worn fedora casting a shadow over his wrinkled features. His eyes, however, shone with an unexpected intensity. Evelyn took a step back, her hand instinctively reaching for the pepper spray in her bag. "The last train," she replied curtly, her voice barely a whisper. The old man chuckled, a dry, crackling sound like autumn leaves underfoot. "Some trains," he began, his voice barely audible above the wind, "are not meant to be boarded." His words hung in the air, cryptic and unsettling. Evelyn frowned, unsure how to respond. The old man smiled, a sad, knowing smile that spoke of years spent observing the world and its peculiar ways. "Sometimes," he continued, his gaze fixed on the empty tracks, "the most important journeys are the ones we never take." A low rumble vibrated through the ground, shaking the station from its slumber. Evelyn looked up, her heart quickening with a flicker of hope. The train was finally arriving. The rumble grew louder, morphing into a deafening roar as two bright lights pierced through the darkness. The train was approaching fast. Evelyn stepped back from the edge of the platform, her eyes fixed on the oncoming train. It was a hulking metallic beast, its windows glowing like the eyes of a predatory animal. The air around her seemed to crackle with energy, the very platform vibrating in anticipation of the train's arrival. The old man stood motionless beside her, his gaze fixed on the approaching train. His silence was unnerving, his face unreadable in the flickering light. The train screeched as it thundered past, the force of its passing stirring the air around them, yet it did not slow down. The train roared past, its red taillights shrinking into the distance, leaving Evelyn standing on the platform alone. The air was filled with the lingering smell of coal and dust, a phantom reminder of the train that never stopped. Confusion washed over Evelyn, followed by a wave of bitter disappointment. The last train to the city had left without her. Evelyn turned to face the old man, to demand an explanation, but he was gone. It was as if he had vanished into thin air, leaving no trace of his presence except for a lingering sense of unease. Evelyn stood alone on the deserted platform, the echoes of the train's passing fading into the night. As the cold seeped back into her bones, a poignant realization washed over Evelyn. The old man's cryptic words echoed in her mind, their meaning now terrifyingly clear. She had been waiting for something that was never going to come. The last train had left, and with it a part of her hope. She was left only with the chilling realization that sometimes the most painful goodbyes are the ones never said.